Alright, I'm sure that a lot of you remember the little air temp. I think it says Nordyne on there somewhere. And it had the chewed up wiring harness that had shorted out on a little hole that didn't have a grommet in it and was tripping the breaker, and we patched it. So we're here with an actual OEM part from ICP, which I realize this is a Nordyne unit, but this part will work fine. It may have a little bit of a different color. Yeah, see, that's the carrier ICP style with the blue blue, yellow, and black. And this is probably going to have a red, yellow, and black. But either way, we're going to fix it, and the Nordyne will live for now. Alright, in case you don't remember from the old video, our little patch job, there's where well, it took a chip out of it. There's where the wire was burning through and vibration, whatever. So that's where we chewed the wire in half and had to patch it with a wire nut and some tape. And this has been fine, but we're going to replace this harness now, and we're also going to bring this high pressure limit back into the mix where it looked like, I don't know if maybe a critter had chewed it up previously or what, but I'm going to get that back in and get this thing back to where it'll be weatherproof and correct, or as correct as it was when they made it. Alright, as we can see, the black goes up to the top middle one up here. The yellow goes to that side and the red goes to this side. That's pretty obvious. The sticker is kind of covering it, but it actually says start, common, and run. So you can see the yellow is run, the black is common, and the red is start. So even though these colors are a little different on this new one, it's going to be just fine. The blue is start, and then there's the run and common. So basically it's the same thing. We've just got a blue instead of a red. So, and this is a little bit bigger. This is probably, you know, for a 4-ton or a 5-ton or something, and that's why the wires are smaller, which that's obviously not going to hurt a thing. That's actually an advantage. So, but it does the same thing. The black is common, the yellow is run, and the blue is start. And then on this one we have, you know, the black is common, the yellow is run, and the red is start. So while this thing is butchered up, we'll probably let it lay in the bottom of a box somewhere as a, I don't know what it would be a spare for, but in case we ever needed it. So we're going to fish this thing through, and then we're going to patch these limit wires back in and try to do it in a correct manner. So let's see what we can do. Alright, I know a lot of you guys don't like these low temp solder shrink connectors, and I really do. So I'm going to use one here, and we're going to show you how well it does. It's very important to make sure the low temp solder has both colors of wire going through it. So let's heat it up and see what we do. Alright, as you can see, turn that light off. Alright, as you can see, if it'll focus, so you can see we got the solder melted, the low temp solder inside of it melted into both the pieces of wire. So it is going to be really tough to pull those apart. And then as an added precaution, I slide another piece of regular heat shrink over that connector, and we'll shrink that, and it'll be a waterproof connection. Alright, so the only reason I was quite that worried about this wire is it's so short. It's still going to be out into the weather here. And as you see, it's going to be susceptible to a lot of moisture and whatnot. So this one, I'm going to also slide a piece of heat shrink over this, and the only reason this tape is here is to stop it from rubbing right there. It had rubbed a little spot, so we're just going to slide a piece of heat shrink over that and heat it up, and that's going to be good enough on those. Then we will strap those together. Whoops. So I'm going to put this over the tape. I'm going to attempt anyway. I'm going to heat that up. Alright, so we've got them strapped together where they won't hit that line right there gets a little hot. And we're going to see what we can do to protect these from this that doesn't have a grommet. And then we'll be ready to hook them up. Alright, so here's what we came up with final on the wires. Got them fairly neat where they're strapped together, and I did put another large piece of heat shrink over the whole bundle, and it's pretty tough to keep it from giving us the same problem there. I don't know how long these things last. I mean, everybody can see that micro channel coil, but I didn't want it to be anything that I worked on that caused any problems. So since we found that from the original issue, took a little notch out of it there, so tripping the breaker and whatnot. Now over on this side, I've got no problem with having wire nuts in it. I did bundle the wiring, and here's our little bit larger. The blue goes to hermetic, and the yellow and the black go to the top of the contactor. So this wire is a little bigger than the factory wire was. And then, like I say, having wire nuts over here on the low voltage inside of this somewhat weather resisted, you know, weather shielded compartment, I got no problem with wire nuts out here. That's actually the design. But in here we did want to try to create the weatherproof wiring situation. So let's stick the fan back on the lid and get this thing going. And one more thing, when I was putting the lid back on, I noticed there's not even a, you know, where the fan wires come through, there's not even a piece of plastic or anything. They rolled it over and made a rounded lip, thinking that's good enough. A little plastic grommet or something on both of these would, well, they would improve my opinion of it, but I don't think they care what I think. So I'm gonna put one more little zip tie on these here, and we're gonna close this thing up and hit the breaker, hit the disconnect. So let's go. All right, there she goes. Not real noisy. Got a little Copeland in it. A little small pancake, we call them, fan motor. So other than the, you know, what none of us like is the micro channel coil. Other than that, it's a good little generic unit. I don't like Nordyne, but decent parts. It's just not built too well. But maybe we gave it a slight improvement. So hopefully it'll last a while. Thanks for watching.